Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm your host, The Treatment, and this is another video in our series on how to use Ashteki, a series meant for new players using Ashteki, the online platform for playing Ashes Reborn. In this video, we're going to cover the setup for a player versus player game, and we'll cover the different modes and some of the different options, and then we'll jump in and either we'll cover the UI options in game in this video or perhaps another video, because there can be a lot of things and I want to try and keep these videos as short as possible so it's just really easy to get onboarded. But here we go. So when you click the two-player button, you're brought to this screen, and it's very simple. If you already have a deck that you are interested in playing, something that you've either built or imported from ashes.live. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please see the earlier video when I covered my deck management. But you could just basically create and you're good to go. Now, that said, the first thing I would recommend doing is just adding a little bit of information to the name. So if you're a new player and you perhaps want a learning game, or you're interested in just testing a new deck or whatever it is, I recommend adding any extra little modifier here. Just say, hey, I'm a new player, whatever, and that will help sort of guide any of your opponents who join. There's a lot of players, some are really competitive, so you never know necessarily what you're going to get if you just create it by default with your name's game. Somebody could join and they could be testing out something very good or whatever. Just add that you're looking for a learning game or a testing game. The league presets are generally, you won't need to worry about them when you're starting, but these will automate the selection of some of the options for the league rules. I highly recommend joining the Ashes Discord and participating at the very least in the First 5 League, which is a casual league meant for onboarding people who just want to have some fun. And then the Phoenix League, once you get some games under your belt, or if you just want to jump into the fire feet first, then join that league. And that is a more competitive on-ramp, before sort of tournaments. And that's a weekly league as well. But you won't need to worry about that. You just mainly want to focus on the format and then perhaps some of the options. So let's talk about the formats. The first format that we can cover, which is really simple, is the pre-con format. So this is any of the pre-constructed decks that are available from the releases. So whatever comes, by default with either the Phoenixborn or, since the Red Rain set, any of those decks. That is the easiest option if you're just starting out. Once you want to take sort of the next step to a little bit, maybe you're not ready to build a deck yourself, but you're past the learning the Ashes game rules and you're ready to play something that's a little bit more tuned, then you have two options. There's the First Adventure, which is a set that was designed by one of our community members specifically for new players, and it's sort of like a dueling, set that you might find in other games. This is between Airedale and Saria. So you will get to pick one, and then your opponent will get the other deck, and you get up and go. It makes it very simple to get started that way, and the decks are really well done. Then there's a step above that, which is the Adventuring Party series, and this is a whole lot of decks that are available by our member Impossible German. He actually has a link and a list of all of his decks and a write-up for them, but I'm not going to cover that right now. Needless to say, though, that this is sort of a step above the First Adventure. They're decks that are more finely tuned, that are really easy, sort of a clear win con, and you can start with that. There's also this Koloff mode, which is a community created event where you get Cole and 30 random cards. I suggest avoiding that for now, but it is a fun format if you ever want to jump in and join the sort of periodic tournament that comes up with that. And then otherwise, the default mode is constructed. So this is using a deck that you have created that's in your collection, and sort of anything goes. So that's the default. And then we have the options down here. Any game, I recommend allowing spectators, unless it's specifically a competitive game where you're trying to keep your secrets, just because it opens it up to the community. It's more inclusive and it's fun when people join and they can either help you out or you can ask questions. You can see here in the game list that, you know, most of the games are available for someone to just jump in and watch. And then we have the options. You don't need to worry about creating a ranked game. So I would just ignore that, leave it off. Time limit, again, as a new player, I just suggest keeping it off. However, if you are joining or something like the AshCon event, then you will need to turn it on and depending on the rule set, use either the shared clock. So this would be 50 minutes in total for both players, or the chess clock. So this, in this case, this is a very short chess clock, but this would be 15 minutes each. But we'll leave that off. And then there's play with open hands. This would only be used if you are in a learning game. It means that both players can see each other's hands. They allow spectators, I mentioned before, and then show hands to spectators. So there's an option where you and your opponent can't see your hands, but you can show them to spectators, which can be fun if you are recording or streaming or just, you know, want some, you just want to make it fun for people. Password will lock the game to only people who have the password. So that means that for both joining and spectating, someone would have to have the password. Most of the time you can leave this off or empty. And then the label for tournaments, which again, you do not need to worry about. So that's it. So you create something in the next video, because we've already gone a little bit long, we're going to jump into the first adventure game and we'll cover the UI elements. So thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful, and happy Ashes playing.